Okay, so here's a video today. Sorry about my voice, I'm just getting over a cold. But here's a little video about my Marz 2.5 and what's going to be happening to it. As most of you know that own these engines, the Marz 2.5, if you notice, there's no bearing in it. There are no bearings at all because they're sitting right in front of it. Well, here's the story. When I got this engine, I got it brand new. It ran all right. The internals are fine, but these bearings have never been able to clean up. They're just gritty. You can hear that. So that's just no good. And the fact of the matter is, these Russian engines are just friggin' weird, eh? I mean, there's no... This is the front bearing, that's the rear over there. There's no seal. You know what I mean? There's no... It's not like this AE21 here, where it's got a rubber seal in the front. See that? Or, you know, you got this little OS right here, and it's got a shielded sealed bearing in the front. You know, these engines are just kind of wide open to the wind like that, which doesn't make any sense to me why they would do that. Because, you know, you got that bearing in the front there, you know, spinning like hell, and any kind of dirt and debris is going to get in there and just chowder up that front bearing. Right? And there's no seal there, so you're going to be losing crankcase pressure a little bit, you know? You know, it's not an absolute perfect fit in there, but I guess you're just kind of relying on the fit between the crank and the case itself to be like a seal. Which to me is not really that good. So what I've done is I've gone online. We'll get to this guy in a second here. And I've gone online and I found the bearings that I need. So I got my mic out right here. So I ordered a front bearing that's sealed, like that one, with a rubber seal on it, to replace this non-sealed open bearing. And I also ordered a new rear bearing. They have to be steel caged like this. And they have to be able to stand extreme high RPM. The bearings that I ordered can withstand, like, I think it's 45 or 50,000 RPM, which that engine over there is never going to reach. And they have a really high strength tolerance, like static load and all that kind of stuff. So because I couldn't get a straight answer from anyone online about what bearings this engine takes or what size it is, I just mic'd them out myself with a little caliper here. So the front bearing, gonna go inside, is 6 millimeters. The outside is 15. I believe, yeah, it's 15. And the width is 5. So it's 6 by 15 by 5 for this front bearing here. Yeah, 6 by 15 by 5. And this front guy here, or this rear guy, is 7. This thing's not very accurate. Seven by... Hang on a sec here. Yeah, this thing's been dropped 100 times. Not very accurate. 6 by 19. Let's see here. I'm trying to just make all this work here. These aren't the exact measurements because, like I said, this thing is just BS. So by 5 or by 6. I'll write it down and show it to you guys another time when I get the bearings in, so you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. That's just a rough measurement for now. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening with this, guys. It's going to get a sealed front bearing put in it. Obviously a new rear bearing. And this guy runs all right. This is a MK12B. And I can't get the prop spinner off right now, or drive plate off at the moment, but these use the same bearings as the Marz 2.5 does, minus the little guy. So subtract that. And if you buy 2 of these bearings the same size, it takes the same bearing front and rear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order 1 bearing like this, open cage for the rear of the engine. Then I'm going to order a 2nd bearing that's sealed. And what I'm going to do is pop off the 1 seal and put that in the front. Right? So it'll be like this in the front. Have a nice dust seal in there. So that'll help with crankcase pressure. Better starting, more power, more reliable. You know, to keep the dust out of the engine, make it have a longer lifespan. And the other thing is with the MK12B here, or 12V as I've heard them called, there's a B and a C model. I don't know what the hell the difference is. Peter. I can't remember how to exactly spell his channel name. But anyway, he's a diesel freak, right? And he reworked one of these engines and it turned out pretty good. But the only downside about them is they were kind of cheaply and poorly made. This one's actually, the castings aren't horrible, but I've seen worse. But the back plate here, where the disc valve is, it's just kind of riveted in there really cheaply. And the disc valve is really sloppy. There's a lot of play in it, which is going to make it leak crankcase compression. And you notice with this engine here, while it's running, it kind of likes to spray fuel out the back of it while it's running. That means that when the piston's moving down and creating pressure in here, that disc valve has got all that slop in it, and it's kind of forcing some of the fuel back. This engine's really strange like that, because usually when you lean the fuel mixture, it wants to go faster like that engine will. This one's the opposite. The more you turn the fuel open, the faster it goes, because it has that leaky disc valve and a leaky front bearing. And if any of you have ever pulled this engine, particularly this one here, apart and looked at the front bearing, there's the bearing, and then there's like a little leather seal behind it, like a little piece of cardboard or leathery material that they jam right in there, and they put the bearing over top of it. So yeah, it's just no good. And you know, these engines here, you know, they didn't put any kind of gasket or anything around here, so you got vacuum leaks here and vacuum leak here, vacuum leak there, which just kind of makes them run really terrible, you know. But if you get a good one, holy crap, do these engines ever run like a scalded dog. Lots of power, lots of transfer ports, lots of power. But yeah, that's my little video for today about this. So I'm just waiting on the bearings. They should probably be here hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. If not, they'll be in next week. So I will make a video of replacing these bearings and whatnot. So for those of you who own this engine in particular and want to get rid of this open bearing in the front and run a sealed bearing, you can do that. And I'll also show you my technique about the cylinder head screws. These engines use flathead screws in the top of the cylinder to hold it down, which I hate. They're friggin' terrible. So what I did is I took one of my old Traxxas engines that I had laying around. I think it was a TRX 2.5. And I noticed that the screws screw into the block absolutely perfectly. But the thing is, the screw heads were too fat to fit down these holes here. And instead of drilling these holes out and messing up this nice little black cylinder head on here, what I did is I just took my Dremel and I just rounded the screws down a little bit. You know, made them a little bit skinnier where the Allen cap part is, so they'd fit down them holes. And that way you can use your Allen keys to tighten down that cylinder head nice and even and nice and tight, so it won't lift up on you. Because with the flathead screws and the soft material they're made out of, what can happen is they can back out while the engine's running, and then the head will lift up on you like that, and the piston will run into the bottom of the sleeve and destroy the engine. Ask me how I know that. So I thought I'd just share this little bit of information with you guys that have the Marz diesel out there and are sick and tired of shitty gritty bearings. So, and I'm going to try and make some kind of little gaskets. I tried to make some out of a cereal box here, and they didn't really work. But I'm going to try and make some thin alloy washers out of something and try to get rid of all the vacuum leaks, replace the O-ring, and make it a very nice little runner. Year of manufacture of this engine is 1986. Let's see if I can get the serial numbers on here. So it's a 2.5D. That funny looking A in Russian is actually a D, believe it or not. So a D for diesel. These were also available in a glow engine, but are pretty rare. map3 or Marz, whatever you want to call it. And there's the serial number. 61078 is a serial number. I don't think there's one on the block anywhere. No, there doesn't appear to be. Just the one on the back plate here. Stupid camera. You can kind of make it out there. Anyway, enough ranting and rambling about this BS. Talk to you guys later. Keep your eyes peeled for the bearing install video. Probably in the next 4 to 5 days, maybe. Hopefully less. Cheers, guys.